Hey, you're listening to Void Signal, like me, Shane from Waste. It's good, huh?
Drifting out to sea, I try my best to be what you want me to be. You can try and help me, you could drown me gently, you could tell me all of the things that I want you to say.
Hello again. Before we get started, I just wanted to say this one more time, that I have really dope merchandise over on shirtclan.com, and you can also leave me a tip over at voidsignal.net. So check it out. I mean, you have nothing to waste but your time. Thanks for your consideration, and cheers as always. Enjoy the show. Bye.
Hello, shall we try this? Yeah. That's fine. I was kind of got stuck in a complain mode anyway.
based on what I heard from, your, everything that goes into just trying to get over on a North American tour, it sounds stressful.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And then, sorry, go on.
In this situation as well, it's basically like just me because we don't have a record label or management or anything. And yeah, I'm kind of sort of rapidly becoming Empathy Test.
Right.
Because also, I mean, my longtime drummer, Chrissy, has kind of like started drumming with some other bands now, and we've somehow ended up at the back of the queue. So she's not coming to America, and now the keyboard player also, Oliver Marson, is releasing a solo album, and so he has also dropped out. So I'm also having to find a keyboard player in America for the whole tour, which isn't so bad because exactly the same thing happened in 2019. Having to land in America, meet someone for the first time, have a couple of days rehearsals, and then go on a 30-something date tour together. So it can be done, but it does add to the stress a little bit.
Right. I wanted to see more people doing the Battle of the Bands thing.
Oh yeah, I've been watching the live streams, which is kind of funny.
Oh, me too. For sure.
Yeah, it's very entertaining. I mean, I wouldn't like to be one of the bands in the running, although I think it's great that they're not sort of being judgmental themselves. It's like literally these are the people that want to open the show, and what do you guys think? So that's great that they're doing that, but it's pretty savage in the chat.
Oh, really? I don't. Yeah. I've been busy, and so I've not caught them live. I've just watched them like after the fact. So I never see the chat, but I'm sure that it's pretty fucking savage because people are shitty. I mean,
yes, yeah. I mean, I just I see these people, and I wonder whether they make music themselves, and
right,
how they would feel if they did, and it was being judged. But yeah, I mean, that's the anonymity factor of a chat on YouTube.
Right, of course. I mean, YouTube is already sort of a breeding ground for not great. It's actually kind of weird, like how the different the etiquette on different social media platforms. On Facebook is kind of it seems like a bit more like most people know that we are running our own social media, running our own Facebook. So, we're answering comments, and, generally people behave themselves a bit better. And then you put something on YouTube and people just say whatever they like. And then you reply to them, and they're kind of almost offended that you're like, hang on, you're not supposed to do that as a band. On YouTube. You just put the stuff up, and then we say whatever the hell we like about it, and that's accepted. So don't respond. Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
I interviewed a nightclub forever ago, Emily and Mark, when I was still.
Oh god, yeah.
And I mean, they were telling me about some of the god awful YouTube comments they end up with on some videos, and I'm just like, man, do people have nothing better to do than?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for two reasons. It's also weird the way different bands, different platforms, work somehow for different bands, and obviously Nightclub are really big on YouTube. They've made a lot of videos, and it's a female singer, so we get nothing on the scale of the kind of verbal abuse that a band like Nightclub get, I'm sure. So yeah, it sucks, and people should just like remember that artists are just human beings with feelings just like them. And yeah, I've always kind of found it quite weird, the sort of celebrity culture, because there's this kind of this weird concept that because you know celebrities supposedly are all rich and have these amazing lives that everyone would dream of having, that therefore they're sort of they have to put up with all of that abuse because they have this nice life. And it's kind of weird because I've had like things like that creeping in to conversations that I've had. I actually when we toured the UK with actors in 2019, we weren't announcing the stage times deliberately because we were swapping each night of the tour. One of us would headline, if you like, and go on last. And it was actors' first time in the UK, so obviously there were going to be some more of our fans coming to the shows, and I just didn't want situations where people might not turn up until one of the bands had played, or go home before the other band was played. But then there was obviously some fans who were really annoyed about that because they needed to plan their travel, and I remember someone getting annoyed directly with me, saying, I'm sure from your position in your ivory tower and not having to use public transport that you wouldn't understand our need to be able to plan our travel. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, right. When I went full time with the band, I actually took more than a 50% pay cut. Like, I earned nothing at all. So for someone to be thinking that I'm in some kind of privileged position just because I'm in a band, like it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, I always think of like the IMX single, like Art Bleeds Money. Like, there's not, the majority of artists are not like swimming in gold or anything. Like, it's
no.
And definitely not in this music scene. Like, this is a lot of people love this. I love actors too. They are such wonderful people. What a great show that would have been. It's funny that the crossover between actors and empathy tests, just because they were around that time. 2018, early 2019 was around the time that like I needed those two bands a lot. I needed their music in my life at that moment. So it's I don't know, just funny how the world works, I guess, or algorithms, I guess. I can't really, that's the ultimate, like, regression to everything, is just that, like, we're all at the mercy of algorithms. But yeah, like, musicians, like, have to work for shit. Like, that's, people are shitty.
And they, I mean, they don't necessarily have to put up with your shit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have been tuning into the Battle of the Bands thing, and like, thankfully without chat. Although
I mean, it's not been too bad. There's just a few people I see over and over again being very judgmental, and I'm like, yeah. I think that a lot of people are like into certain genres of music, and then they somehow need everything to sound exactly the same. And when it doesn't, they can be very sort of condescending.
Sure.
Especially like it's going to be controversial, but seemingly in the post-punk scene. I get a lot of sort of negative feedback because Empathy Test is like synth pop, and but there's so many great post-punk bands around at the moment, like Hapax and The Foreign Resort, and obviously Actors. And yeah, I mean, I really like that style of music, and I really don't think it's we're all essentially writing pop songs and just using different instrumentation, and they're using synthesizers, we're using synthesizers, we're just not using and acoustic drums. The only thing we're not using is electric bass guitar and electric guitars. But I've had people being like, oh, why are you playing with Actors? I can't remember what they said now, but they basically, in saying that it was a bad combination, compared us to Modern Talking. And I didn't even realize like how much of an insult that was supposed to be until I randomly looked up who Modern Talking were, and was like, oh, okay, that was meant to really hurt.
Right.
I didn't notice. But
I can't imagine living my life that way, where you're just like, this isn't this thing, like, so I don't like it. Like, what?
Yeah, well, it's almost like some people seem to think that their music taste somehow makes them a better person. I tweeted that just recently. Like, remember, your music taste doesn't make you a better person, or like cooler or better than anyone else. It's just like, it's quite funny in the scene how many of the musicians and artists out there are like basically listening to pop music and in their dressing rooms and stuff.
Yeah.
I made a joke a year or two ago. We were in Poland and walking around, and everyone's listening to pop music in their dressing rooms at this kind of alternative goth festival. Because I mean, what's pop music is just like very, very like, catchy, and I don't know, like, the most popular song by every band is their best pop song, basically.
Right. And I mean, I don't know, let people like what they like. It's just like kind of my philosophy on, I don't know, gatekeepy shit is for teenagers. Like, that's just my, I don't have time for that. I'm an adult. So, but the Battle of the Bands thing has been really cool to watch. I know that Daniel's gotten some shit about it. But oh,
really?
I mean, I've seen some criticisms. But I don't know. I think it's a good thing overall. I mean, like, we need more of everybody pitching in and working on.
I mean, basically, Daniel's very good at promotion and marketing, and it's a great idea because you put together a tour and you choose a support band, and in his case, like an opener as well. As part of the tour package, but then the local promoters are still like adding bands to the lineup, and you don't really have any control over who they're picking. So he's kind of like killed two birds with one stone. He's kind of like got a bit more involved in who the local acts are going to be, but at the same time, like, created a load of promotion, free promotion, by doing this Battle of the Bands thing. But I mean, some people aren't into Battle of the Bands. I mean, I'm definitely not. It's kind of a weird concept, having three bands and having to choose which one wins.
Right.
But I mean, this is slightly different because at least like a normal Battle of Bands, you might have a ska punk band playing against a synth pop band, and how are you supposed to choose like which band's better? Like,
I mean,
It's kind of silly.
yeah, for sure. But I do have to say though that there's been like a couple of these submissions for a couple of these cities that were like
Yeah.
not traditional, sort of who you would expect to open for aesthetic perfection, I guess. But I was
Right.
like, man, I'd be, if I were there in the audience for aesthetic perfection, I'd be excited to see this. Like some of my fondest memories of performances, at least recently,
Yeah.
have been of like, oh, something unexpected, I guess. Like, I went to go see Dance with the Dead, very, guitar
Yeah.
heavy, synth wavy kind of stuff, but they were opening for Avatar, like a Swedish metal band.
Right.
And they were amazing. I was like, Avatar's wonderful. Like, and I would never have gotten that crossover without it. Same with like the Mechanismus Festival. It was a lot of like, oh, I've been missing out on this band for no other reason than I never realized I should check out, this style or this whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's what I can't really understand about people complaining about our support band being different from our music, because like it must be really boring just listening to the same genre. And I mean, again, like the reason that Daniel chose Empathy Test as main support in 2019 was because we are pretty different. There's a good crossover, but at the same time, we were going to sell tickets for his shows to people who wouldn't go and see Aesthetic Perfection, and that's the whole point of having a support band, right? Is to sell more tickets.
Right.
So if you were choosing a band that's exactly the same as you, then it's great for your fans. Oh yeah, we get to see this other band that we like. But at the same time, you're not doing yourself any favors because you're not expanding the audience.
Right. Yeah, like, because, I mean, just to sort of, to boil it down to like dumb Spotify terms, it's like when you get to the bottom and it says fans also like, some diversity there might be a good idea. Like you said, you're reaching more people, you're broadening horizons, and like, oh man, like actors, as an example, or Empathy Test, or I mean, like you name a band. We know, between the two of us, we know plenty of talented bands that are transcendent enough to be like, I don't care what kind of music you're into, you should listen to this. It's worth your time. It's worth hearing. And I don't know. Yeah, I can't imagine. I'm shocked, honestly, that there are people like that. Like, I don't want to know people like that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people can be quite close-minded, especially like, obviously it's a dream for a lot of bands to support a big like classic band or act, maybe like a nostalgia act. But then, they go along and they find that all the people that are there to see the nostalgia act are not interested in new music. So, you land this like dream tour supporting someone, and then like, people are just like, can you hurry up so that we can see whoever,
that's
Gary Newman,
OMD. Yeah, right. I would love to see Gary Newman, I mean, as an aside, but
have you not?
No, I've never.
Okay.
I was close. I was going to go. I even got like a press pass for a show that was in San Francisco, but I just couldn't make it.
He's just kind of been everywhere in Europe at the moment. Like, he was at VDT, which I was not performing at this year, but I did perform. I sang at the some cheesy 80s covers at the opening party, but I got to see him there. And also we played at a Belgian festival, Sinners Day, that he was headlining. That was cool.
That's awesome.
I've seen him like 3 times in as many years or something.
Oh wow.
I saw him at the Royal Albert Hall, actually. I didn't pay for any of these.
I mean, that's
tickets.
pretty lucky. That's pretty fortunate. I've never caught Gary Newman. Like where I am in the States is like just out of the way enough. So
Yeah, you got to take a long weekend trip.
Yeah, I love Gary Newman. I just have never had a chance to see him. Earlier this morning,
he's really good, actually.
I mean, it looks like it. Earlier this morning, I was actually like really
Siri
reminiscing. Sorry.
Hello, you still there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I said something that woke Siri up and said, he said, sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. But no, this morning I was actually like revisiting right before the pandemic. I got to see Iron Maiden. And holy fuck, what an amazing show. Like a demon comes out of the stage that's like inflatable and it like hangs over the audience. And it was fucking amazing. Anyway. Yeah. If you get the chance to see Iron Maiden, take it.
I mean, if someone wants to give me a free ticket, it's not really my thing. But I'm sure, they put on a very good show.
Yeah, an amazing show. That's okay. I mean, you don't have to like Iron Maiden. I'll forgive it.
Touch, if I really mean that much. Why pretend that you love him? Don't call me out the blue. It's clear that I still do. You know he knows it too. Going home alone, the only love I've known. It's always been you. It's always been you. Tell me it's not real. Tell me he doesn't make you feel the way I made you feel. If you care for me at all, you'll hang up when I call. You'll clear me the space to fall. If you give, I will receive, despite what they believe. It's always been you. It's always been you. It's always been you. When you're feeling alone and you're colder than stone, call me, you know. When you're feeling alone and you're colder than stone, call me, you know. When you're feeling alone and you're colder than stone, call me, you know. When you're feeling alone and you're colder than stone, call me, you know. When you're feeling alone and you're colder than stone, call me, you know. It's always been you. When you're feeling alone and you're colder than stone, call me, you know. It's always been you. When you're feeling alone and you're colder than stone, call me, you know. It's always been you. When you're feeling alone and you're colder than stone, call me, you know. It's always been you. It's always been you.
So I am kind of curious. You, from the sound of it, and I'm not trying to like create controversy or anything, but
Mhm.
it just kind of sounds as if Empathy Test is sort of starting to become Isaac Howlett, and Isaac Howlett is Empathy Test.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's kind of a difficult situation. I think we have for a long time, at least since like 2016 or something. We didn't really want to be like two guys and a keyboard. Like Erasure or Pet Shop Boys or something. We wanted to be a band, but really, yeah, the kind of the core of the band is me and I'm going to say a guy called Adam because, like, weirdly, there's plenty of Empathy Test fans who have no idea who Adam is. But yeah, when we started out, it was two friends and Isaac and Adam, and yeah, I was writing the songs. Well, I mean, this is still the setup. I write the songs and the lyrics, and Adam produces the music, does the arrangements, and writing some of the hooks and the bass lines and the beats. And then but Adam isn't really a performer. He's more of a like studio musician, and so as soon as we kind of started touring properly, we needed to find musicians to basically back me up on stage, and so 2016 we got Chrissy on drums, and she started off playing drum pads, and then wanted to play a full kit, and she's been very instrumental in making us into a proper live band. And then we had a keyboard player. But the sort of weird thing that then happened was that people began to see the band as those people that were on stage, of course. So Empathy Test became me, Chrissy, and Sam on keys, and then since then Ollie. And Adam's just like this kind of mysterious figure who, he's kind of basically a music producer who's part of the band. And yeah, as I touched upon earlier, things that I think with the pandemic and stuff, we obviously lost a lot of momentum, and didn't see much of each other for a long time. And Chrissy is an amazing drummer, very dedicated, hardworking musician, and she's like having a lot of success playing drums for basically bigger, more successful bands and acts than Empathy Test, and is being offered tours, solid touring and stuff. And we're at the moment, just the way things have worked out, just playing at the weekends a lot. And obviously she can't turn down a 2-week tour for like a few shows with us. So I found someone in Austria, a drummer in Austria, David, and he has done nearly all of the shows this year. And then, as I said, Ollie is a solo artist. Or when he joined the band, he'd already released one single, and he's gearing up to release a solo album. And really, despite the fact that they both contributed some writing towards the last album, they're essentially session musicians. They get paid to play each show. And most of the kind of writing and recording is done by me and Adam. So yeah, we're kind of at this position at the moment where Ollie has said he can't spare the time to come to America. It's 5 weeks out, not being at home, not being able to work on his solo career. and Chrissy the same. It's like the amount of money that we get paid for shows in America is not as much as we're getting in Europe. The costs are a lot higher, so I couldn't guarantee her what she needed to be able to say, yes, I'll go to America for 5 weeks. So, there's no like drama or like, no one's like fighting or, arguing, but from my perspective, when you're in a position where you're basically going to America without any of the people that have been in the band for a long time, and also, Adam is busy with lots of other things as well. I've written a whole new album's worth of material and demoed it earlier in the year, and he just hasn't had the time to do anything with that. So it kind of puts me in a difficult position because I am financially reliant on this project, and I've kind of worked out, as I do the accounting, that when I don't know whether this is the same for most bands. I would assume so because of the way streaming kind of works. But you release an album one year, you get a big bump a year because obviously everyone buys your album or is streaming your album, and then slowly, that everything slowly gets less and less as time passes. And I worked out that our turnover halved the next year after the album, and then a year later it halves again. So you really need to be releasing an album every couple of years, or 3 at the least, in order just to keep people listening and keep the money coming in. So I'm in a difficult position now where my band members are kind of moving on, and we don't have a new album ready, and I don't know when we're going to have one ready. So yeah, that's kind of the position.
I'm
that
sorry,
I'm in
I don't
right
mean
now.
to ask you like a question that like turns into a fucking downer or anything.
Yeah, I'm desperately trying not to make it turn into a downer.
I mean,
But yeah, I mean, this is kind of the reality of being in a band. Like it's actually a very very difficult thing to keep a band together, and I feel like half of the battle is just keeping it going. And I think these days that there's obviously a lot of bands that are essentially solo artists or a duo, or you know what I mean. And as things get squeezed more and more financially, and things getting more and more difficult to do, I'm seeing a lot of one person and a laptop bands appearing.
yeah,
Because that's sort of like the most cost-effective way to the most economical way of touring, I guess. It's not really what I'd want to do, but the idea of maybe having actually being a duo on stage and having one person doing electronics and stuff on a table and one person singing, it'd save like having to hire a van to transport a drum kit and all of that stuff. Yeah. So Empathy Test is kind of like in a weird situation right now, and I don't know, hopefully me and Adam can get together and do something, but it might not be until next year, and I might have to release some music, solo music myself, in order to tide myself over. I think
sure,
is probably that's the upside, is that people might get it, if they're excited about that. I don't know. Isaac Howlett solo release.
I mean, I would be, but I mean, like, I would expect there to be, to be some people excited to hear it. I mean, you did the track with Daniel Graves,
Yeah.
and that was excellent. I included it on my episode with him. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I'd want to hear it for whatever that's worth.
That's great. I got one listen.
You got one.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously, I've got the advantage of being the person that does all of Empathy Test social media, so I can do it. I can do as many posts about my solo release as I like. No one's gonna stop me.
Yeah. See,
Stephen said, why not write something that's not so deep and meaningful? But the truth can be so tragic and beautiful. Life said she could never tell anyone just how she feels. How will anyone know when she caves in and it all gets real? I wanna bare my soul in a way that no one can. In the hope that some of you might understand how it feels to be so alone, to be so alone, to be so alone. Cassandra said she'd lost the plot when she stopped the car to drop me off. I watched her disappear, her face reflected in the rearview mirror. Sophie woke me in the dead of night to tell me how her dad had died. I lie here in the dark, but now there's nowhere left to hide.
the thoughts crossed my mind before of like, because I can't monetize Void Signal, right? Because I have my guest music on it, so I can't run ads. But it's crossed my mind of like, maybe I'll just make another podcast where I just fucking talk about some dumb bullshit and I'll just monetize the shit out of it and like see, and then just, and then see if people want to listen to it, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. We can only try. And,
yeah.
I'm basically fully prepared for. I mean, the best reaction will be like, well, this just sounds like Empathy Test. Is this not Empathy Test? that would be the best reaction for me. And obviously, the worst would be like, I mean, there's going to be people who are just like, oh, it's not the same without Adam or whatever, or not the same without Ollie and Chrissy, even though, they played on the last album.
Yeah.
So,
but see, then the other thing that you can do is that you can be like, then 4 or 5 years out from now, you can be like, it's an Empathy Test tour, but guess who's opening? Oh, it's my other band. Oh, double dipping. Oh, see me at the merch table. Oh, see you guys. Like, and then
but let's face it. I could just like perform Empathy Test songs anyway, and then
that's true.
I'm not entirely sure what the evolution of Sting and then Sting and the Police, like how that are you a Police fan?
I mean, I'm familiar enough, but
do we know how things evolved there?
No, I have not. I've done zero research into Sting and the Police and how that shook out.
Yeah, maybe I should look into it.
Yeah, maybe there might be. Some...
you can buy like best of Sting and the Police.
Yeah,
and there is Sting on there, and there's Police on there.
Right, right. So are you?
Anyway,
I assume you're Sting in this scenario.
Yes. Yeah.
Or are you the Police? I didn't want to speak for you. And
I'm Sting and the Police.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know. It's one of those very difficult situations. Because, like I said,
sure,
it's almost a hobby for Adam. Because he's not reliant on it financially. He's an illustrator as well. He does all Empathy Test artwork. He makes more money from one picture than, like one job working for like Nike or Sony or whatever. He makes more money from that than he does like the entire profit of an Empathy Test album. So it's like... it's understandable that he's not like, when he's got other things that he's more interested in doing, that he's not like, I've got to make an Empathy Test album. It's just like, I'll do it when I feel like it.
Right.
Which, unfortunately leaves me in the shit position of being like, well, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And, I can't really just release music without him and call it Empathy Test. I think that would be kind of a step too far.
Sure.
So we're working on a live album right now. Is my workaround.
Gotcha.
We can't release some new music. So we've got a dedicated sound engineer, which is another kind of result of me moving to Austria, which is my kind of like, I'm a Brexit refugee basically.
Right.
I met this guy Phil who works at the local venue in Linz in Austria as a sound engineer, and we were having a drink one time, and I was talking about how I was going back on tour, and he was like, hey, I could like borrow a van from a friend and drive you. And I'm like, yeah, brilliant. And then I was like, but aren't you a sound engineer? Like, I mean, if you're coming, you might as well do sound as well.
Right.
So it literally happened like that. And then it was obviously a bit of a gamble for me, but I was like, well, if he's been working at a venue for years and years, like he's got to be okay, surely. Sound.
Sure.
And he turned out to be really, really good. So it's kind of been easy enough for him to like bring what he needed along to record some of the shows. And we recorded four headline shows, so like 90 minutes worth of stuff. It's like 6 hours altogether.
Yeah.
And we just went through it, and just like binned all the ones where there was like any bum notes and whatever, honed it down to like one 90-minute set where everything was the best that it could be, and then slashed it down to the length of an album. We just gotta mix it and put it out. But I mean, that's something that the fans have been asking for a long time, and so something that we can a kind of easy win that we can put out and get some money coming in again. So
for sure. And I like live albums, especially when it's an artist or a band that's like maybe like like necessitates like a change in like the studio version to the live version. Like when I saw System Sin at Mechanismus, I almost didn't recognize some of the songs that I've heard dozens and dozens of times, just because it's got a live drummer and it's got a guitarist, and it's arranged differently in some way. So I mean, to me, I like being able to sort of experience the live arena version of a song as well. So well, I mean, we kind of gave people a taste of that. Our first two albums were completely electronic, and more kind of chilled, and then Monsters in 2020 actually featured live drums and felt a lot more organic and kind of real sounding, and so this is, I guess, the next step. And I mean, obviously I've listened to it all the way through. It's very, very energetic, and gives you a feel of what it's like to see Empathy Test live, which I think is very different from what you hear on the records. Gotcha. Well, I don't want to keep you too long, but I do have two like kind of last questions that I wanted to touch upon.
Yeah.
The first one being like, what does Isaac Howlett solo sound like?
Well, I mean, this is what we are establishing at the moment, I guess. I mean, Isaac Howlett's solo was me and my guitar.
Sure.
But I mean, yeah, I guess it's going to sound quite a lot like Empathy Test. I don't want to move too far away from what we've established. Just so that I can transfer as many listeners as possible, I guess. But no, I mean, I've learned a lot from Adam in terms of arranging tracks and creating atmosphere, and it's as I'm kind of I'm working with another producer who will remain a mystery for now.
Ooh.
And
How sexy.
yeah. It's kind of been nice to because we kind of got to a point in Empathy Test where I would write the songs and demo it as a acoustic guitar and vocal, and then Adam would go away and pretty much like build the whole track, and then I'd come in and do the vocals. Like when we first started, I was a lot more involved and was kind of there, knocking out melodies on the guitar or the piano that would end up in the track. But I was kind of getting more and more removed from the process of making the music, which wasn't great for me. And so working with someone completely fresh, where neither of us really know how it's going to work yet, it has been refreshing because I did the same thing. I recorded a vocal and guitar and sent it to them, and then they basically sent back a beat and a bass line, and it sounded really cool and atmospheric. And I was like, yeah, great, this could work. And then they were like, well, what should I do now? and at first I was kind of disappointed because I was like, oh, well, I was kind of expecting you to know what to do next. But then I was like, well, actually this is like gives me an opportunity to be more involved, and especially as it's we're sort of looking to make me as a solo track. This is Isaac Howlett. So I was like, well, it needs melodies and hooks and stuff. So then I got him to send me the stems back again, and opened it in Ableton, and then I put a load more things in and then sent it back again, and now I'm waiting for them to come back again with a near finished track, at which point I can sort of make a confident decision about whether whether it's going to work or not, and whether we're heading in the right direction. But yeah, I mean, it's sounding like everything you would want from a new Empathy Test track, really.
That's a great answer. It's I mean, it's difficult. Other people are going to be able to say what the differences are, probably better than I can. No worries.
I mean, I would it's very very emotionally charged. It may be it's focusing a lot on the vocal, and I would kind of compare it in structure to like Bare My Soul. Um, and yeah, it's a waltz, which is interesting because we've always kind of stuck quite closely to like quite straightforward rhythms. And I don't know, maybe my time in Austria has already kind of had some kind of influence in there because it's quite orchestral. Yeah,
That sounds exciting.
I'm excited to see where it ends up, and I kind of want to finish one track so that we can then be like, yeah, this is the sound.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
and it's going to be exciting and scary to see what people think, and whether they like it as much
Well, just
as
don't,
Empathy Test.
I mean, maybe don't just put it on YouTube first, and then
Don't put it on. Oh,
yeah, just like avoid YouTube for a little while, just so you can like build up your own confidence.
Oh, I mean, we're kind of lucky enough to not. I don't think we are successful enough, or mainstream success. I don't know, enough to have fans that aren't very nice.
Okay.
or obviously you get, I don't know.
Well,
You get the odd person that shows up, but it's not like, like Nine Inch Nails fans or like, because when you reach a certain level of success, I guess the people that like you can't control the people that you like that are into you, right? So
right.
it's kind of free.
The
free
way
reign.
I look at it is that like the more successful you get, the deeper your hand goes into the trash, and and down at the bottom it's real scummy. So you're gonna pull up some dregs sooner or later. But just to sort of try and close my show on a positive note, I always ask like what you're enjoying lately. That can be whatever you like, book, movie, TV show, waking up at all, whatever you like. Just what's something that you're just like enjoying right now and that's making you happy.
I mean, to be fair, like it's really, really great to be touring again and performing live. It's hard work. It feels a lot harder work than before the pandemic. But it's really great to be performing my songs again to people and getting the reactions that you get and people being so happy to have been to a concert again for the first time in however many years, and everyone feeling all of those like amazing things that you feel both performing and watching live music. So yeah, people get out there, and I obviously the pandemic is not completely over, and that we still have to be careful, but I think we've all been kind of like shut in cages and have developed a certain kind of mindset of like, I don't want to say fear because I sound like a conspiracy theorist or something, but you know what I mean? Like our mindset has changed because we've had to be so careful and because we've had to stay at home and not socialize and whatever. And I think it's like really important that we shake off the negative effects of the pandemic and just get back into like living and enjoying ourselves and going to concerts again.
I mean, I tend to agree, and I feel that I do. It's like a calculated risk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. I do agree with you, and I agree that it's not fear. It's more of a like, I don't know, sort of an existential. I mean, at least for me, and my perspective, and a lot of the people I know, and that I've spoken to about it, it's more of a like sort of an existential or fatalistic underpinning of sort of
Yeah.
like, you know, there's been a lot of loss and a lot of grief and a lot of isolation and I mean, the world isn't getting any better. So there's a lot of, I mean, everything is under.
I just think we're kind of in danger of, you know, just hopping from one crisis to the next at the moment, and these things are real, of course, but we can't let them like rule our existence.
Right. No, sure, for sure. I mean, you know,
And caveat to anyone with a you know, compromised immune system, like I understand, you know, the risks that you're facing, but you know, sort of in general, me anyway, I feel like, you know, I need to somehow get back to the more carefree mindset that I had before the pandemic.
right. I mean, I do think it's important for people to. I mean, you know, everybody should act according to their own conscience, but I do think it's worth doing something for yourself and doing something to like go make some good memories, like go see a show.
Yeah.
If you can, if you're comfortable enough to go do it, you should, because it's nice to be around people, and it's nice to have an emotional sort of experience around other people. It's for me, going to Mechanismus was a therapy that I needed, that I didn't know I needed. So I mean, it was there's a lot to be said for it. It should not be underestimated. That's a good answer, and I agree. But just to sort of answer the question as well, the thing I'm enjoying the most lately, honestly, is just being able to invite people onto my podcast that like, and you know, I've been very fortunate in the names that I've been able to get to agree to come on the show.
I actually had to listen to one of your podcasts as, you know, preparation, and it was great. I can't even remember who it was. It was a female musician. But I hope people enjoyed what we had to talk about, because I had fun.
I mean, that's the goal, is like, I want the guests to have fun, because I mean, like, I don't know, people are more interesting when they're having fun, I feel like. I'm recording with IMX tomorrow, like live on his Discord server for like all of his patrons and subscribers. I'm nervous as fuck. Like, I am, you know, it's one thing when it's like you and me and like one other person in like sort of a vacuum, but like an audience, holy shit. And then it's like, he's going to have video, so he's going to be looking at my face while I'm having a look at his face. And I don't want to, like, I'm fine with looking at his face. I could do without him looking at mine. Maybe I'll just like put the camera on my dog the whole time and just be like, just look at Sugar. I don't want you to look at me. Like, I'm not stoked about that part, but it's exciting. So.
Oh, well, I'm happy for you that you've got that opportunity, and that I could be like a warm up.
yeah, thank you. I mean, you know, you are sort of a warm up. I posted Empathy Test on the IMX Discord server and the music channel, because I was like, there's crossover there for sure. Like, it's you know, I see that. I can hear that for sure. So it was a bit of a warm up. You're like Chris Corner light. You know, like.
I can't help but feel that feels like a diss somehow. I'll try and take it as a compliment.
I don't think it is. Like, I don't think it is. It's you know, I mean, it's meant to be a compliment. You know, it's also meant to be a complete joke, so it's fine. But
I'd love to tour with IMX, but he's known for not having support acts. He wants to be in bed by 10. So.
I will not tell him you said that. But
No, that's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Oh,
Maybe
really?
even from the horse's mouth.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
know. It was just like, no, I mean not by 10, but like, I don't know. I don't know. If you don't need a support act, you don't need a support act. I think it's quite nice to have someone warm up the audience beforehand, but
I mean,
he doesn't need it. He
yeah,
doesn't need it.
apparently he doesn't, and I mean, that's okay. I
Yeah,
mean,
so,
it was also.
if you can just drop empathy test into the chat tomorrow.
I will. I mean, I can make that happen. It's easy. I can just say it. Like,
Empathy test.
hey everybody. Hi Chris, how are you? Empathy test. Did you check out that link I sent you? I mean, that's what I do all the time anyway, honestly, is that like as soon as I just try and like, I don't know, spread it all around. Everybody's doing cool shit. Like everybody should be. I don't know. But I'd
be interested to know whether he's heard of us. It's always cool when someone's like, oh yeah, empathy test, yeah, I know them, and you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, again, I definitely will mention it for sure. Your music has meant enough to me in times that I needed it, along with Chris's, that I would be happy to do that. It's the least I could do. And I
did this part out of our interview, though. I never said this.
Yeah, absolutely not. Never. This will be cut. But thank you so much for your time and for the music. And I can't wait to see what you do next. And whether that's as Empathy Test or whether that's as Isaac Howlett, I'm on board for it. So I'm happy to count myself amongst your fans. And anything I can ever do going forward to help you in any way, my skills are at your disposal.
Yeah.
So
likewise.
All right.
My useless skills.
I mean, you got skills. I mean, they're
mad skills.
Mad skills.
Skills.
Well, I will let you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will try and put some